Hello. It's me. I'm Proctor. That's my name. And, well, this big old MultiVersus game is coming out. And it's got a selection of characters. And 4 of them are from DC. No, if you would, no. I consider that out of the 13 characters revealed, 4 are from DC. You have the Trinity, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and then Harley Quinn, an anti-hero. But with all these good guys, you can't come without a bad guy tagging along. And Harley probably won't be alone in her amoral and possibly villainous deeds. Welcome to this video presentation. This video about DC villains. Those who could join MultiVersus. Let's start with the most sinister of them all. The Joker. Now he's a very successful villain. He's one of DC's most popular and recognizable brands. He's a billion-dollar franchise. DC said so themselves. His movie alone was $1 billion. Such a high-profile and recognizable character would absolutely not be left out of this game, and he would have a very interesting and dynamic moveset based on all the traps and gadgets and schemes he's done throughout his nearly 80-year-long history of fighting with the Bat. He'd no doubt be an interesting and worthwhile addition. With Batman and his off and on again love interest Harley in the game already, it's hard to imagine that the Joker will not follow suit. And up next we have Lex Luthor, an iconic enemy of Superman, who he's been fighting with for, again, over 80 years. And he's very iconic, appears in tons of stories that are not his. Lex Luthor would also be a heavyweight, and a rather unique one. That being in his power armor. You can have him use all kinds of kryptonite-related gadgets in his fights against other fighters, including Superman, even. It's hard to imagine that Lex Luthor, such a staple of DC, would be left out of this game. And I think he would come at some point. I don't know when, but I think he would come, since he's that iconic. Next up, we have Cersei. Now, Wonder Woman's rogues galleries don't often get the time of day, but I think this would be different. With the Trinity in, and Joker and Lex Luthor probably coming at some point, I would say it's fair that one of Wonder Woman's own rogues hops into the fight at some point. And out of the ones that you know, Cheetah and Ares, Cersei has some rather distinct powers in the magic. And her rather distinct powers would make for a very fun moveset, maybe involving a bit of bait and punish. Her magic would definitely give her, a distinct flair, being one of DC's sorceresses, but one who is a bit more well-known. However, she does have competition with Cheetah and Ares by them being more well-known in major motion pictures, while Cersei hasn't been in a movie yet. And DC has a bit more well-known magic users like Constantine and Raven, possible uniqueness and relative iconicness of a character that has not been in a major motion picture. Makes me think she's rather possible. Oh, whoopsie. Next we move on to Poison Ivy, another Batman rogue. We're going to stay in this camp for a while. And she would have a very unique moveset. The control over plants that she exerts would be, it brings something distinct to the roster. That type of eco-manipulation. That would be interesting to see. However, and she there may be a limit on Gotham City characters. We already have Batman and Harley, and the Joker and maybe Robin are also on their way. Poison Ivy might be a stretch, but I think that she could come, mainly due to her duo potential with Harley, and her tons of recent relevance. And next we have Catwoman, iconic Batman villain. Love interest. It's getting more spotlight than ever before with the new movie. Solo comic was a smash success. One of the most popular characters from her series. There's not really much to say about Catwoman, honestly. There might be a limit on how many from Gotham can come, but I think out of the Batman characters that aren't Joker and Robin, she has a very good chance, I think. Due to being, and this iconic character in Gotham's pantheon. And she's also in the upcoming Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, which comes out next month as of the time this video goes up. And speaking of the Batman, the main villain, the Riddler. Now, the Riddler is one of Batman's more iconic foes, and is getting recent exposure in The Batman. But he was also in Batman and Robin, and they completely butchered his character. Now, the Riddler, he's not really a fighter, but could have trap-based mind games, and we focus on misdirection, sneakiness. He would be an analytical fighter, I think, since he isn't really much on the physical side. Again, there's that potential limit on Gotham-related characters. Now we're about to leave the realm of Batman-related characters, but there's one more I feel like I should talk about. And, well, it's obligatory almost. This is the elephant in the room when it comes to DC villains right now, the Condiment King. He's an extremely minor Batman villain, but the Condiment King was mentioned by name by the game director himself, and, well, this is a seemingly jokey post. This could also mean that he's a real contender. Ed Boon did tweet, RoboCop confirmed, long before RoboCop was revealed to be an MK aftermath. I believe a few months. So, well, it has a seemingly jokey tone. Who knows? And, yeah, he's pretty obscure, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have moveset potential. And, he could have a pretty unique moveset based on the condiments that he uses. He could be a very fun and distinct joke character. I believe the Condiment King could circumvent the Gotham ban because of his joke character status. Now, we move out of the realm of Gotham, and we leave it for the upcoming star, Black Adam, who's one of two DC villains to get their own solo movie. Now, we have yet to see the box office success, but I think that being one of two DC villains to get a solo movie is very impressive and grounds to be considered. Now, he'd have a pretty similar moveset to Shazam, and maybe some other elements of his character would have to be borrowed to be truly distinct, but he's one of DC's premier villains, so he should obviously be in contention. And now we have a DC villain headlining their own show. Peacemaker. Now, he had a major role in Suicide Squad 2021, and was a fan favorite. And the show is doing absolute numbers on HBO Max. Moveset may not be distinct enough, but his design is, and he has yet to make an appearance in an official video game. No, that could be a pro, because this could be his first appearance, and because he hasn't made an appearance, he could be higher up, but it could also be a negative in his favor, because all the other characters on this list have been in a video game before. Even the Condiment King was in Lego Batman. So, his lack of video game appearances could be a detriment or a benefit. And now we move on to DC's baddest villain. A very vile character, the final character in this presentation, Darkseid. The biggest and baddest of them all. The game still needs a heavyweight, and he's incredibly iconic. You can't really have, DC, but it could be a boss fight. But I believe he's too iconic to not include. But now, before this video wraps up, here are some honorable mentions. The Penguin's going to have a major starring role in The Batman 2022. Now, not as major as Catwoman or the Riddler, but he's still going to be in the movie. Black Manta could be well on his way if Aquaman enters the game, and he would be rather distinct, having his lasers and jetpack. I think that he is Aquaman's most iconic villain, and would have to be in the game if Aquaman is. Starro is related to a massive community meme that we're going to talk about later, but Starro on his own is an incredibly iconic villain for the Justice League to fight. It was actually the villain they fought in their first appearance, and had a major breakout starring role in The Suicide Squad. He was the villain, so we can headline things, and he has relative success. Cheetah is another Wonder Woman villain. I think Cersei would have the spot over her, but Cheetah could still be in the game. I think one of the Flash's rogues is a must if he's included. Now, I think maybe Captain Cold is the most likely, but you could also go with Gorilla Grodd, Mirror Master, Rainbow Raider. I think they'd go with Captain Cold due to their dynamic, but yeah. Cat King Shark is another character to come out of the Suicide Squad in a place of stardom, and he's actually been requested a fair bit. Now, I don't really know what this guy could do, but it'd be interesting, to say the least, to see him. He's playable. He's going to be playable in the Suicide Squad video game that's coming up, so that could be fun. Lobo is the main man. He's got a presence. He rides on his motorbike. Definitely could bring a unique fun to this roster. Doomsday, the monster that murdered Superman. I think he's probably a boss, but he could be a playable character, being very unique. Finally, Deathstroke, the most famous villain of the Teen Titans, but also was fought Batman and other DC superheroes a couple times. He's a very iconic foe in the DC canon, and I think the game would be remiss if he was not included. And that, my friends and viewers, is DC Villains and MultiVersus. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and if you have any feedback, I would appreciate you relay that back to me. Alright, I will see you guys next time.